Hello, everybody, and welcome to Shades of Spirit. I am Psychic Medium Jaime.
And Spiritwalker Nicole.
Got our day.
Yeah.
Man, it's a whole new day. We are stoked to be here with you guys today, and that we are back from a little much needed rest from last week. So keep your eye on our Facebook page. I'm clapping it out. I'm clapping it out today, ladies. Slow clap for our much needed rest. But no, we had such a great time just disconnecting from the world, really, and just being somewhere else in a different, culture. Just we looked at the ocean every single day. We put our feet in the ocean every single day. We went on some really cool adventures, reconnecting with ourselves, with our spirit teams. And I don't know, it was just awesome. But if you guys did not watch last week's show, I know some of you did not. And how do I know that? I'm not going to tell you because I'm psychic. But you're going to have to watch last Wednesday's show with Shades of Spirit, because we had stuff flying off the shelves. It was insane. The dog now wants to bark while we're all here. That's fine. So go back and watch last week's show, because we do talk about paranormal. We're talking about some paranormal stuff today. What's really excited is that we have got psychic artist Ashley and LaShawn the Luminous Mystic with us as well, because the Fierce Four are in town. So welcome, ladies. Woohoo!
Hello. Thanks for having us.
All right, you guys. So we have had some really cool experiences the past couple of weeks, honestly. Right before we went on vacation, we decided that we would, go have dinner in an alleged haunted restaurant. So we're going to talk about that the second half of the show. And for the first half of the show, we're going to talk about remote viewing, what that is, how we do it, and how we can help others who have activity in their own space, in their homes. So remote viewing, first of all, it's an interesting concept. I'm going to kind of quickly go over what it is so you guys have an idea of what we're talking about when we talk about us being able to see into a property in Kentucky, right? So remote viewing is defined as the ability to acquire accurate information about a distant or non-local place, person, or event without using your physical senses or any other obvious means, right? So remote viewing means that you're not actually present in the space. It could be that you're going to remote view your next door neighbor's house. It could be, just like what we did, that we're going to remote view a home in Kentucky. And that's what we're going to talk about today. It's associated with the idea of clairvoyance and sometimes called second sight, right? We're using our third eye. We're using that clairvoyance, but we're also using claircognizance, the inner knowing of the energy of the space. And we're using a couple other of our clairs in this as well, because we're allowing ourselves to move our energy into that location. And we do it through different means. And that's what we're going to talk about today. The difference between natural psychic receptivity and remote viewing is that the latter is a trained skill that the average person can learn to do. So we actually do workshops and teach people how to do remote viewing. About 80% of the sensory information you experience each moment is generated by our brain, right? And what's the joke that we have about my dad?
Your dad always says, he doesn't say Spiritwalker Nicole, but he says, Nicole, you don't hear with your ears, you hear with your brain.
So that's 80% of our sensory is through our brain, right? It's an interesting fact. My dad has all sorts of fun facts up here in his brain. To save time and energy, our mind makes it a best guess about what's going on around us, using a small sample of the environment, whether that be a picture, whether that be a direct connection with speaking to someone maybe in a location or a space, which is what happened, or just being able to sit in a meditation and move yourself into that space. The remote viewer puts themselves into somewhat of a meditative state. So we'll each talk about how we do that as well, by clearing our mind of outside noise and inner mind chatter. So you can't have inner mind chatter if you're going to remote view somewhere, because you need to be connected with your spirit team as well as the location. You should be open to receiving any and all information on whatever you decide to focus on, right? So we have to be open. Just write it down. And what happens is freaking, it's giving me the chills right now about how cool it is when we just write down what we're getting and then we compare notes, right? And then once you're tuned in, make sure you take note of everything within your physical body, emotions, sounds, feelings. Songs came up for Ashley just like she would be reading a person. I mean, there's so many different things that happen when we're doing it, and you got to write it all down because when you are in Ashley's spirit brain, right?
Yeah.
We will come out of this session, especially if we're in a meditative state, and we're not going to remember all the details. So this is an active process of what we're doing. Okay. Once we tune in, I also want you guys to think about this: is that we again are either looking at a picture on our computer, or we're talking to a client, or we're just sitting and meditating before we even look into the pictures. And we are moving into that space. We're using our clairs, our psychic senses, right? This isn't a mediumship tool yet. This is just us tuning in with our psychic senses. And we're writing everything down. And then we are comparing notes after the fact. And we take pictures of our notes to timestamp them. So freaking important. So the client sees that we did this separate and that we also have that for ourselves. And then we compare notes. So I had a client. I did a reading for her. She is in Kentucky. And I asked her kind of what she wanted to get out of the session. So we covered a few things. And then partway through, she said, I'd like to talk about why my house isn't selling. I said, okay, we definitely can look into that. So we got through part of the reading. And then I went ahead and tuned into the house and thought, oh my goodness. So I started feeling things and going through the motions of her when she was in the house. Now they have since moved out and they're trying to sell it. And obviously, like a lot of us, we want to sell it quickly. We want to move on with our lives. But there's just been this hang up, and it's just this energy that, is kind of lingering in that space. And what she does for a living, she knows real estate very well. So she's just like, I need to know, why is this not moving? Why is this not happening? And I, of course, said, well, do you mind if I share this information with LaShawn, the Luminous Mystic, and Psychic Artist Ashley, and Spiritwalker Nicole, because, well, this is fun. Just to get different perspectives. And she said, absolutely. And I gave them the information about 2 days later, and I went back through. Now, I had not looked at the house. I still have yet, I've only seen one picture of the house, and it was the picture that Ashley sent me with a question on it. Because I got everything from my direct source, was the owner who lived in there. And I wrote my notes out. And then I got my validation from her on the physical things that she was feeling and the emotional things going on in her family and her relationship, and was being validated from that standpoint of it. Now, that was the mediumship reading that I was doing with her in the psychic reading. But to have these two ladies come in and say everything that I was seeing, down to a flippin' name, Ashley, of an energy that was in the reading as well, of a loved one of hers, is freaking amazing. So for me, remote viewing is just that. I sit down either with a client. I have done this before to where working with other groups, I wouldn't be able to go to the location. So I would just sit and ask my spirit team to come in. And sometimes I would have the picture of the house up, just the front. And sometimes I wouldn't. And I would just honestly allow that energy to take over and to show me pictures. For the most part, I could draw out the rooms of where they're at in the home. Okay, my drawing out, again, you guys, is squares and rectangles. But it is tuning into the energy in the space. And I know that when it looks like pig-penned energy in a space, that it's more energy coming off of us as our physical body, as opposed to an actual energy standing in a room. We've done a couple of, remote viewings over time as well. For you, who do you call in?
Well, me. I'm always calling in my angel team first. And yeah, I don't like to do remote viewings or any kind of house clearings or anything like that without having the angels there.
And then you just what? You meditate, you throw music on, you
Yeah.
tap dance. What's
Well,
happening?
not tap
I
dancing.
would love
I'm
to
not
see
the
that,
best.
wouldn't you, ladies? Let's do
Not
that.
the best at that. No.
Ash is trying to get us to karaoke. We could throw tap dancing in there as well. Okay, so how do you do it? Like for me, it's usually quiet. Sometimes I will put music on.
I always put music on. Nothing with words. It's usually just the kind of music that just melodies and just that. I just like that music that can kind of just cancel out all the thoughts and all the whatever's going on and just put me in that space where I'm ready to go to work.
And do you find that you're validated when we sit down with clients, or whether we take your notes and we compare them to other people's notes as well? Like, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, I mean, it's always cool and a good thing, but most of the time I just hand my notes to you and then kind of go about my day, because I don't know, it just I like hearing it, but I trust my team so much that I know that whatever they tell me or whatever I'm feeling is going to be correct.
And when we're in locations, what's awesome is to bring paranormal equipment.
Yeah.
Because we have talked about that when we're actually in a location, we actually bring the equipment. Remote viewing, we can have our equipment out, definitely, and we could take pictures and videos of us tuning into the energy to be able to supply to our clients as well. But it's all about us being able to sit in that space of solitude, be able to connect with our spirit teams, to have that protection around us and be able to move into that energy. Now, I did warn these ladies that this was heavier energy and that they definitely needed to up their protection layers just a smidge going into it, because I was physically feeling the house energy and the energy of the spirit that was residing in it as well. And so, that was the only thing I told them, was just make sure you protect yourselves and really, go into this in a different light than you normally would. And, when we come back from break, LaShawn can explain kind of how she actually had to go back a couple times into this energy to work through it. So we're going to take a quick break, you guys, and then we're going to have LaShawn and Ashley talk about their experiences and how it actually tied all of our notes together. And I sent it off to our clients and let them do with it as they may, right? Just to give them a heads up. Now, a couple of things. Shades of Spirit has our Akashic Records workshop on next Saturday, the 15th. And that is from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And we're going to be able to work through some barriers that you have up right now of how to move forward in things that you want to achieve by the end of this year, now that we're getting that momentum going. Then we have that evening a mystical tea party with spirit. Yeah, LaShawn, I'm so excited. That'll be at 4 p.m. up in Winchester at Sweetwater Farms Petting Zoo. That is also on Shades of Spirit LLC, our Facebook page. You can sign up and message us through there. And then Ashley and I have a paint and sip party. Of course, LaShawn's going to be there. I mean, hello. That is on May 23rd. It's a Sunday at 4 p.m. where you guys will be painting your spirit animal. I cannot wait for that. While Ashley and I are going to be reading your paintings as you go. And LaShawn's going to throw in her 2 cents as well. She's probably going to cry. I bet she's going to cry, guys. It's going to happen.
I love the shade of blue.
Makes me think of water. We're just giving LaShawn a hard time. And then we have, of course, our Release and Intentions workshop. That is through Zoom. It's called Finding Your Truth. You can find all of those in Shades of Spirit LLC. We'll be right back after this break to talk more on remote viewing and what we saw. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Shades of Spirits, where it's always an interesting show. I'm telling you right now.
That's the intro.
That's what I have for you.
Have?
That's what I got. I'm not doing, hey, how you doing? No, you didn't like that one. I didn't clap. I didn't clap either. Nope. I'm keeping it together, folks. I am Psychic Medium Jaime.
And Spiritwalker Nicole.
And we are blessed to have the Fierce Four today. So LaShawn, the Luminous Mystic, and Psychic Artist Ashley. We are talking about a remote viewing that we did all the way in Kentucky, and yet we're here in California. And we are able to connect with spirit, even if it is not through the direct connection with the human, right? So I actually talked to a client. I did a reading for them. And one of the questions was, why is the house not selling? And for me, it was like, well, let's tune in. Let's see what's going on, right? If they were local, we would be in the location. But again, we don't have to go and be in the location. LaShawn and I have actually done one where we were on a Zoom and walked the house with the owner and took our notes. And the same flipping thing happened, is that we had so many similarities between our notes that was unbelievable. So first and foremost, let's start out, Ashley. So you drew some pictures, and those will be popping up here as you're talking as well. So how did you prep? How did you tune in? How did you get into the groove of this remote viewing session?
Get into the groove. Yeah, so I start by talking to my gatekeeper, calling in my spirit team. I always call in Archangel Michael as kind of like a bodyguard, like a shield around me, because you said to beef up the security, so I did. And I explained to my gatekeeper, like, I know there's going to be negative energy, I'll communicate with it, but only through you will relay type of thing, so it didn't affect me physically. And then I always turn on my music. What are you doing over there, Nicole? Sorry. I do listen to music with words. That's how spirit communicates with me. So I popped on the music and I just started writing. When I first started leaning into the energy, I got the address because I like to look at the front of the house. When I zoomed in to different places in the house, I saw a figure. I texted Jamie. I was like, what the heck is this? And she's just like, are you kidding me? So that was on, I know, right? It was just, I get goosebumps every time I talk about this dude. But yeah, I immediately started writing. So it was like, spirit in the backyard. No one's here to save me. He's going crazy. You want somebody to talk to. And then, I saw spirits on the porch. I heard yelling like nonstop, and the list goes on and on. So it was like the human living people in the house there was lack of sleep. There were headaches, chest pains, so physical ailments. The spirit was definitely affecting the wife or the woman that was living there. And and then it just I saw objects being thrown. That was one of the pictures that I drew, was a long hallway. I saw children, and it was girls. I saw the number 3. It turned out to be 2. And I just saw like picture frames being tossed off the wall or like off the shelves. And then another spirit I drew was a woman, a protective figure for the house and the woman that owns the property. And it was mostly just this, I call him a bulldog because that's really kind of what he was. He was just trotting around the perimeter of the house like, this is mine, mom, mom, mom. And that's kind of, I took it as, I wasn't fearful at all. It was just kind of like, all right, guy, you're okay. Everything's going to be okay. And, just kind of worked through him with that. But he definitely, a little aggro. So
that was the thing, is that
a little aggro.
The one thing I did not tell her, LaShawn, was that this house was 100 years old.
Yeah.
So it's sitting on property that has been there for a long, long time. And the history in where it's located at, which of course we're not going to tell you because that would just be not okay, definitely kind of ties in with what LaShawn was getting. So for you, LaShawn, you doubt yourself when it comes to remote viewing.
Yes, I do. And here's the thing, there's no reason for the doubt, technically, because each time that I have done a remote viewing, I have always proven myself wrong. And the thing about it is I trust my team with every inch of my being. So that's a situation where my ego just kind of steps in. But the information that I'm giving or that I write down or that I'm receiving, I don't question that too much, so it's kind of odd how that works. But for me, I always start off, I don't do the music or anything, but I am in a very quiet mode. I want everything around me to be really quiet. I just kind of sit, like in this case, I had the address, so I wrote the address down and I just looked at that address. To tune into that energy, I called in Archangel Michael. That's who I started out with. However, even though you had told me to, you guys beef up the security, I think I kind of let that go to the wayside for a hot second, because what ended up happening was, as I went in the first time, I got really, really sick, just nauseous, headache, to the point where I literally had to go lay down and then pick it back up. I actually went and laid down for quite a while. And then I'm just like, okay, go back to it. So I went back to it, beefed up the security, and was able to get in. So here's the thing. I did not send my information to anybody, okay, that night at all. It was a conversation on the phone that I had with Jaime where me complaining about, I suck at this. This is not good. I know I really suck at this. Like, you guys, I'm pretty sure I have nothing that's going to match you guys or anything close to it. So I'm telling her what I had saw, which was that first off, the female energy that Ashley picked up, which I didn't know because I didn't have any Ashley's information. I talked about the land, which I did not feel was Native American land, and I wrote that in my notes. But what I did see, and this is crazy, and I don't know how else to really explain this other than exactly what it was that I saw. But there was a point in time, there was a female energy that was very strong. I said that she was a protective energy. My computer screen completely blacked out. Okay, and as I'm looking at this blank screen, so it was like a mirror type of situation, I'm seeing me who is not really me. So I'm seeing another person, but I'm seeing through the eyes of that female. And her hair was up. And I told Jaime, I said, Jaime, I said, this female comes, I believe, from back in slavery. Everything about her, the way that she was dressed, the way her hair was pent up, it just felt slavery to me. And I really hesitated on saying that, but I didn't have a choice because it was so prevalent. I did pick up on a male energy as well. Yeah. I don't even know what to say about him, but walking the property, I felt more of the outside like you guys did. I talked about the garage specifically because it was as if he was in the inside looking out. Not a great feeling, but the one thing that I did talk about was the doorknobs of that particular house. And this is before I even knew that this house was as old as it was. And that was, the doorknobs were, they're old because we had them in my grandma's house. They're long with the skeleton key hole. I know Skeletor and the skeleton keyhole. Well, here's the thing. With the house, knowing what I know now, with the house being that old, I guarantee you those doorknobs were there around that time still. It brings character to the house, but it also brings in the energy of every person that's been in that house or every energy around that house. And so I just told her, I said, the doorknobs have to go. I understand that it has character, but it has to go. So yeah, it was really interesting. Ashley, you talked about blue eyes for the female, which she looked very much like who I saw. And it took me a minute because I was seeing through her, I did not get to see her eyes. Yeah. And for me, when I really tuned into it, I'm just like, came up to mind for me was Cicely Tyson, if you guys know her, and there's several other actors and actresses that are African American, and their eyes are like a grayish blue, and so I'm thinking, that's where it was, and that's where it resonated with me. But yeah, I had a lot more going on, but at the end of the day, after seeing everybody's notes, it was undeniably for us to not know about each other and what we having any conversation was just amazing.
That's the best part of this. Okay, you guys, we're going to go to break, and then we come back. We're going to finish up this conversation and then move into our haunted dinner, which was freaking awesome. If you tuned into our YouTube show, we are on YouTube, Shades of Spirit. The Fierce Four is almost every Sunday, minus like holidays. And then we each go live every day of the week. So somebody new is on doing some cool things, but go back and watch that YouTube show after you listen to us talk about our dinner and how cool it was to have dinner with Spirit. So you guys will be right back after this break. Welcome back to our dance party. This is Shades of Spirit, the Fierce Four. I'm psychic medium Jamie.
And Spiritwalker Nicole.
We've got LaShawn, the Luminous Mystic. You also will, on occasion, hear our African Gray Buddy yelling at people that's not there. And we've got psychic artist Ashley. Maybe she could draw the people that Buddy's been yelling at today. I'm telling you. We are talking about remote viewing. We're talking about our haunted dinner that we had at a local restaurant up here in Vista, California, as well. The first thing that we want to talk about, or maybe the second or third, because now we're, into different segments, is when we do any type of work like this, any type of work, we do it to empower the homeowners, to put them back into a space of their own power, to regain control of the energy in the home.
Right.
We can work with the energy of spirit that seems to be in the home or on the land or in your office, by sending them love and light. So we actually had times on that Saturday and Sunday that all of us were to kind of just stop what we're doing, lock into that energy field and send that energy love and light, send the property, the home, the homeowner, and kind of work through some Reiki energy for those of us that do Reiki, and really start to heal that process to help the homeowners as well. And she's keeping us posted on when the house sells and how all that's going as well, because we like to hear back. I know that we have made contact with that energy multiple times in order for him to realize that he has gone. So he has crossed over. That's the big thing for me. He's crossed over, but there's something still in that lower vibrational field that's keeping him in that space, right? He's kind of anchored to it. And so we can help from a distance be able to empower them. So LaShawn, you wanted to talk about the eyes before we talk about our haunted dinner.
Yeah, so with the eyes, it was crazy because for me, I feel I can feel people's physical pain, whether they're dead or alive, as well as their emotional and mental stability or non. But what happened was I got this extremely sharp pain that actually was almost at an angle. It was like it went up through my nose to my eye. This is all on paper, you guys. And as I'm talking to Jaime on the phone, I'm sitting in the parking lot of a department store. Don't tell my husband. And, and I'm sitting here talking to Jaime, and she's telling me about the pain in her eye that she had. And I'm just like, hold on, wait a minute. Let's rewind. Let's go back to that for a second. Because you know what? Here's the thing. Even though we could pick up the same thing, it's always new to me, and I'm always in awe over the fact that we can still come up with this stuff and have the same pain and things like that. And so, yeah, so what I had her do was, I said, hold on, I'm gonna have my husband, because I wasn't at home, send you my notebook and of my notes. And I had him send it right then and there, because then that way there was no change in nothing. There was no other influences for me. It was what it was at that point in time. And that was really something, because not only that, but I had headache, I had the stomach pain, which I feel that came a lot from male energy. It was.
And that's where, I looked at Ashley's notes when she sent them over, and I'm like, oh my God, the headache. And that's what I actually said to the client as well, was, hey, have you had headaches that have been here and worked its way up here? And she said, yeah, but I said, it's getting better now. And she said, absolutely. We all had that on there. The gentleman that Ashley drew was the one that I was seeing. Now, he didn't have as much facial hair, but again, it's how we perceive them at what stage of their life. So she might be seeing him older, or I'm seeing him kind of in his, mid 40s, and LaShawn can be feeling the energy again. Now, I've had to hit mute twice, and because every time I move into lower vibrational energy, I start to choke. It's a real fun thing that happens to me. And when we bring this energy back up, like you guys said, like, it's still, that energy's around. He's still working through that process. It's better, but I actually had to hit mute while LaShawn was talking so I could cough, because I could feel it starting again, moving into that vibration. So we send it love, we send it light. What did you always say, Spiritwalker Nicole? We always leave our clients.
Oh, better than we found them.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest part for all of us, is working in that vibration. And so we're going to continue to send the owners in that house and that space and the energies that have been around there, whether they're directly tied to the home or maybe they're next door neighbors. We're not there to do that part of it, but it is. And so if we can all just take that minute to just send that energy out to Kentucky and to this home and to this place, that's what this is about. Now, to shift gears, because, oh my God, like, we have so much fun when we're together anyway. If we got all of the stuff that we did at the haunted dinner, I cannot wait to see what happens when we stay at the alleged haunted hotel in June, because it is going to be wild. First and foremost, there is a restaurant here in San Diego. If you Google haunted locations in San Diego, that restaurant generally pops up. It's in Vista, California. And we've eaten there frequently.
Oceanside?
I think it's technically
Is it?
Vista. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's right off of the 78 freeway and 5. I'm not going to use the name right now because, well, I have not actually asked permission. But again, there's article after article. You can find it anywhere.
Oceanside.
It's Oceanside?
Yeah.
Written about this particular location. So we've been there several times. We bring our paranormal equipment. So I told the girls, bring your paranormal equipment. We had switched plans last minute. We're actually going to be at the cemetery, and we moved over to this restaurant for dinner, which did not disappoint us. And what I love about this restaurant is that it is known by all employees to have activity. So anytime we've had a different waiter or waitress and they see our equipment out, they know what we're doing because people are doing it all the time in this location, which is so cool. So we didn't tell them much about it, but ladies, I kind of want you guys, because you two were sitting on one side of the booth and we were sitting on the other side of the booth, and you guys were killing us. I mean, it still like just makes me laugh. You had out your equipment, you had out your phone. Ashley's taken notes, but I want you guys, because you actually saw what happened, because it was to our back, to kind of just go over like what the hell happened with the things were falling. It was insane. And the only thing I can say is that every person that walked past us that was working on that floor of this restaurant at some point said, I have no idea what's happening here tonight. This is insane, because there was so many weird things. And I'm like, that's what happens when you get 4 psychics together. Surprise. We're all over here. So yeah, I mean, did you guys have fun? I think we enjoyed ourselves tremendously at dinner.
Oh yeah, I had a great time.
Ashley could sound a little more excited. I don't know. Oh,
No,
yeah,
I mean, okay, so it's funny. you have Jaime and Spiritwalker Nicole, who are in like this sorry, mom, like parent energy, and then you have me and LaShawn, which are like the little bratty kids.
And we took them to dinner, didn't we? Yeah.
You took us to dinner. We stayed in our seats. We didn't run around. Okay. But, the dynamic between LaShawn and I now, as opposed to when we first started, is like a married couple where I'm chill and just like, okay, all right, cool. And she's like, like jumping around and bouncing around. And so we kind of, we go off each other. We play off each other well, where when she gets super, startled or something, like, I'm like, okay, it's okay. It's all right. It's going to be fine.
She gets animated. That's what she gets.
She gets very, that's the best word for it.
Until her arm got burned from the invisible force. That was something I thought she was going to.
It could have. Yeah. I think it was my shirt.
It was not your shirt. I assure you, it was not your shirt, Ashley. Come on now. Like, listen, you guys. First off, I mean, there was temperature changes left and right. Let's make that very clear. Like, I keep looking. I'm like, can you guys see the door? Where the heck is the door at? Like, this is like weird. This is like crazy stuff. We have our K2 meters. We have our phone, has like kind of like the obelisks where it gives you words and stuff. So we're putting all this stuff together. Listen, this waitress, I'm watching everything that happens in that restaurant, okay? My eyes is all over the place. And I'm watching this server with her tray and stuff, and she's walking. And next thing you know, it's like she ran into this plexiglass that, I don't even know how that happened, because
I don't even think she ran into it, to be honest.
But that's what I'm saying, because
perfect timing type of.
Right. Well, the way that it is you guys, when you go into restaurants, and especially like the booths, they have the plexiglass in between each of the booths, right? So it separates everybody. But that does not affect where the servers are. And so my mouth felt open, because what happened was that plexiglass fell on top of the customer's head. And she was so apologetic, and I'm looking at them, and I just keep saying, how the hell did that happen? How did that happen? I watched it as it happened, and there's no words. But right before that, the obelisk said what? Random. It said
Random.
and then it said random.
Random.
Jamie turns around, she says, well, that sure was random.
You did a great impression of me. I give her a slow clap for that one. That is it. Well, it was. But this is the thing. The lady was fine.
Yes.
Came out. We all made sure. So again, they took very good care of the person that, this had come down on. And those things it's plexiglass. So it's not like a thing of glass coming down, right? It's plastic. It's a divider. But those things are so anchored in. I mean, when in this past year of this pandemic, have we ever seen one of those things come down? I mean, we've gone out off and on. We've been places. You guys have been places. And I mean, literally, you would have to run into that thing pretty damn hard to get it to fall over.
Yeah.
And at the same time, our waitress is showing us pictures on her phone of what a guest had captured, because they were doing the same thing we were, and they took pictures of the sign outside, and there is, as clear as day, a face in there. Now, can this be photoshopped in? Could these things? Absolutely. But the lady took the picture and then ran in right before they left to show the waitress and sent the pictures. You'd have to be really good at photoshopping if that's the case. But that's, that makes it hard for some people. And that's why there are skeptics out there when it comes to the paranormal, because stuff can be altered. It can be doctored up. It can be photoshopped in, right? And you'll see a lot of those posts, if you ever follow this stuff on Facebook and Instagram, of people trying to debunk that. Well, that's what we do, right? So we looked at those pictures for a long time on that poor lady's phone, who's trying to serve other people as well, to make sure that it looked legit. And it looked legit. Like, I could see the face in there. And then, LaShawn is also like, what's the temperature changes? And Ashley's like, I don't care. I'm having a hot flash. Like, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
Keep it going.
It's all about
just the air. But we're looking to see where's the air conditioning vents, right? And there isn't an air conditioning vent right above us. And then there are vaulted ceilings where we were. And the front door was far away as well. And then we also had on our spirit boxes, right? So we had our headphones in, and Nicole and I were sharing one, and LaShawn was on hers, a separate piece of equipment. How many voices could?
Oh, gosh, I don't. 4? Was it 4 for us? I think
3, 4 voices. Yeah.
And it was male and female. And the way that works is it's scanning stations, right? AM stations or FM stations. You can go forward or backwards. You can slow it down. You can speed it up, however it works for you. And you can get voices to come through that way. So if you ever see the spirit boxes on some of these, shows on TV with paranormal investigations, or the ghost box or whatever it might be, spirit uses that energy and is able to communicate with us. Well, as we were saying those words, Ashley's writing down all the other words, and some of them actually matched what Ashley was getting on her Ovilus and what we were hearing, which was insane to have that happen. LaShawn, so since Ashley feels that this hot burn on your arm came from her shirt, I mean, Ashley, I know you were hot that night, lady, but come on, girl.
I said it was like a scratch, because the material I was wearing, like, it was folded at the arm. And I brushed up against her, because I mean, I'm not a tiny little thing like LaShawn is, so I'm taking up some space. And I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
See, and this is what's great, is because Ashley stands in what she believes it was, right? And LaShawn, on the other hand, the way she jumped out, I don't want to be standing next to her wearing any type of clothing.
Yeah.
Oh, that
scared the crap out of everyone. I'm like, breathe.
But can we listen? Let's talk about the events that happened when that took place. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's what is the end all or be all for me, because I'm 100% down with debunking, 1,000%. So here's the thing. earlier that day, it said what, burned skin or something like that, which I never even thought anything about it once it was said. We was like, oh, that's kind of weird. But what happened was Ashley was in the middle of talking about the temperature change again. She's like, did you feel? And I'm like, yeah, it's cold. And then all of a sudden I screamed and I jumped. If I could have gotten out of that dang on seat, I would have been out of there. Like, that's how bad it was. And it was right here. Actually, there's no way. There's absolutely no way that that was your shirt. I know the difference. And I even said it then. I said, it feels like maybe a cigarette burn or maybe like even a pinch. But I was very specific about it because I knew exactly how it felt and what it felt like. So for me, there's no doubt in my mind that if we're talking about spirit, you can feel the energy, I can feel the energy. And then for something like that to happen, dude, like what did you even have on that was that rough to be make?
I told you, it had a fold and it had a little sharp edge where the buttoned up.
A sharp edge on a shirt. Come on now.
It could have caught your arm hair. They could have pulled your arm hair.
Wow, see, we're going deep into
I'd
this.
like to take this opportunity to apologize to those sitting next to us or near us that evening, because now I see we are a bunch of lunatics.
But you
fair.
know what?
That's
The thing
fair.
is that even our waitress, the one that we had for this particular dinner with the four of us, she had talked about that she has seen things fly, silverware, across the table. After hours, it really starts to pick up as well. Now, Nicole, give us a little bit of background. You've got your feet up over here hanging out today of the location, because you read the article at dinner. She brought us over like a Insider magazine for Oceanside that they had this feature article on it, so that people kind of know why this might be so active.
Yeah, so I don't remember the exact dates, but this property was built over what used to be a cemetery. And when they were originally developing the land, they took out the cemetery and the bodies. But what they did with them was questionable. As far as some of them, it was rumored that instead of how do you say it? Like putting the bodies in another location, transferring them, reinterred maybe. That
Relocating?
relocated. They might have thrown some of those bodies just into the lagoon or the water that's near that location. So there's a lot of history and questionable moral decisions that are associated with that property.
And what's interesting is that, being Southern California, we do sit on a lot of Native American land. And the first time that we went to eat there, I felt a Native American energy come through. And for me, I can validate that energy because one of my spirit guides that works with me on land blessings and healing work was talking to the spirit and just hearing their story. Sometimes that's all they need. But it was definitely different energy with the four of us. And I do believe that the more that we gather people together, which is why they do spirit circles, right? And how often do spirit circles usually meet, and why do they keep everybody the same?
Oh, it depends on the dedication of the group, the energies. But if you can get a solid group together, I mean, like once a week is great, but sometimes that's not feasible. So they ask for like once a month, where every single person is committed to showing up, and you sit in the same place and you just build up that connection and that energy, and they don't let anybody else in.
And that's so that you guys know that's so that the group knows how they can work off of one another. And I think that, working together, and the more that we do this, it just makes us even stronger as that cohesive unit. And spirit is drawn to us. And to hear the busser, the poor server who felt absolutely terrible about what happened, our server even walked by in passing to another person who worked there. I have no idea what's going on tonight. Everything is just awry, right? It makes you wonder, because it's obviously they're all saying it because there is something that they're feeling, because they work in that environment every day. They're there hours upon hours at different shifts, and to have all these people saying that, I do believe, and I'm not trying to toot our horn or anything like that, you guys, that when you bring people that are so connected with the mission to connect with energies, knowing this location is haunted, bringing our equipment and putting all of that out there, and the intention part of it is that we were able to get some really good evidence, if you will, that yeah, the spirits are there. It validates what Nicole and I felt eating in there. If I could eat in there, once a week, I would totally do it, just because it's building up those connections with those energies.
I want to
Now,
jump there.
And the
I know.
food is good.
The food is great. Yeah.
Good.
We will be back to have dinner. That is for sure. And LaShawn's going to be the hostess. Hi,
Yeah.
welcome.
But
Come
I
on
just
back.
want to hang out downstairs in the basement in the dark.
I will do the check-ins at the bottom.
As long as I can bring my prime rib, I'm all right.
It was so good. But no, like we also leave the space, I like to think, better than it was before as well. So acknowledging these energies
Well,
coming
I'm sure
in.
everybody else was better when we left.
Yeah, they're like, yeah,
No.
bye-bye.
Super entertaining.
The later we can go, the better, I think, so that no one's in there. No, but it's one of those things to where we send that energy, love, and light. We hear what they have to say. I mean, Ashley, I think you filled up one of your sketchpad pages, plus went to the back of all the words coming.
I did. Oh my gosh, I did. Yeah. All right, I think I have it.
There you go. Like this is what Ashley's doing over here. She's writing down all of the words that came through that obelisk. Now, when we go into locations like this, when we do our own type of investigations, we use minimal equipment, right? We're just a mom and pop shop over here. We aren't, super fancy. When we go to the hotel and stay, there's one room that is allegedly haunted that LaShawn and Ashley will be staying in. We will be bringing all of our paranormal equipment, and then we're going to be staying in the one below it, which has had activity as well. Now, what was interesting is this is the person that I talked to when I booked the second one and was talking to him about what we do and what we're setting out to do at this location. He's like, well, there hasn't been a lot of activity lately. Well, first of all, they probably haven't had a lot of visitors because of COVID and the shutdowns. So activity will kind of slow down. But once you bring all of us in, LaShawn, talk about some of the equipment that you're going to throw up on your walls, and Ashley's going to come running down to, Mom, she's scaring me.
Ashley, let me tell you, because I'm like, I am videoing with the night vision camera while we sleeping.
Who's sleeping? I'm not sleeping.
Oh, bro, okay.
You're like this.
Yeah.
Put some toothpicks underneath those eyelids. I have an SLS camera, which shows spirit and stick figure, and that can also record. So we'll have that. We have K2 meters. We have EVP voice recordings. I don't even know what we don't have.
We're bringing it. We are bringing it all. That's what's going to be so awesome. And that's going to be the middle of June. So you can guarantee there will be a follow-up show that following Wednesday with the Fierce Force. So you're going to see us a couple times in June. Why not? That's what this is all about. And we're also going to some sort of really cool haunted cocktails and the Haunted Tavern or something. I have to look it back up, but you guys can look at Shades of Spirit LLC on Facebook. And we're going to go and hear ghost stories, if you will, from descendants of Ichabod Crane. I cannot wait. I have always been into this. LaShawn's going to do some research on that. So before we end the show, you guys tell them how they can get a hold of you. LaShawn, how can they get a hold of you?
Hi, you can reach me at Luminous Path with Love on Facebook, as well as Luminous Path with Love on Etsy.
Perfect.
And you guys can find me on Instagram, Art by Ashley T, or Facebook, Ashley Tower. If you guys want to book readings or contact me for paint parties, it is artbyashleyti@gmail.com.
I can't wait to do another painting one for YouTube. You guys join us on YouTube, Shades of Spirit, like, share, get the dingy bell, be notified when of us goes on. Thank you guys so much for joining us. The dingy bell. And we will see you guys. Well, I'll see you tomorrow. Join me tomorrow night. I have Soul Radio at 5 p.m. I don't know anything what I'm doing yet. So Jacob, that'll be fun. I think I'm going to throw in some readings because I'm actually kind of having some withdrawals from readings right now. So see you guys tomorrow. Thank you ladies for coming, and we will be back next Wednesday. You've been listening to Shades of Spirit with me, Jaime.
And me, Spiritwalker Nicole.
Tune in next time on TransformationTalkRadio.com as we connect you with your crossed over loved ones, angels, and guides.
And for more information and to book your own private experience, go to shadesofspirit.com. That's shadesofspirit.com.